What's up? Hi everyone, my name is Jason Faggio, and thank you for coming. I'm going to tell you how to hack your brain. By a show of hands, how many of you have struggled with a mind that seems to have a mind of its own? So the purpose of this speech is to tell everyone how to best manage that, wrangle your mind in, and make it do what you want it to do. The trick is a relatively new concept called mindfulness. It has a very new age sounding name, but the science behind it is actually grounded in neurobiology. To get everyone in on the ground floor, we're going to discuss what it is, how we use it, and what it will do for us. First one is, what is mindfulness? Mindfulness is known as a metacognitive process by a Temple University study. Meta is a word that gets a lot of use in today's self-aware society because it means literally just being aware of oneself. Cognitive means thinking. Put those together and you get thinking about thinking, being aware of your own thought process and how it all links together. And that comes from Merriam-Webster. So that aforementioned 2019 Temple University study defines mindfulness by what it is not, mindlessness. And if you think about this, how much do you do on a daily basis that's just autopilot? You're not even thinking about what you're doing as you're doing it, you're just doing things based on the way you did them before. Or you're reflecting this situation around you without actually thinking about what you are putting into it. Our mind developed these processes as a way to keep us safe. If you think about it, if you were being chased by a cheetah, are you thinking about each step that you're putting in front of you? No, you're just thinking, I gotta get away from that. A lot of your mind has relegated to that kind of thought process. So this is about taking control back. When we know we're safe and we have the time to think, we have to physically or consciously tell our minds that we need to slow it down and think through processes. It's important to reestablish that control. At this point, you might be thinking that thinking about thinking is just regular thinking, but just with more steps. So how do we use it? If you've ever lost your keys and had to retrace your steps, did it work? Sometimes. It depends on how many thoughts happened before or in between that process when you realized they were lost. Mindfulness tends to work in that same way, just instead of keys, when did you lose control of your thought process? When did you start going on autopilot? When did you start reacting rather than thinking? What if what you lost was your temper? Mindful metacognition would have you trace your thoughts back to your initiating response. Whatever started that chain reaction, go back to that, respond to that, take control back, and then follow on. That same 2019 Temple University study, went back, sorry. There we go. The hardest part about this is detaching from that reflexive response. If you think about what we all learned in elementary school, what do you do if you're on fire?
Stop, drop, and roll.
Stop, drop, and roll. Is that what your reflexive response to fire would be? No, just run around screaming. You're responding to the event, but you're not doing anything to fix it. So if you were able to learn that stop, drop, and roll addresses the situation, and that becomes your first response. Mindfulness works in much the same way. You are teaching yourself to not simply respond and actually go back into a learned process. From a neurological standpoint, this is manually restructuring the information processing from your brain's lower order, which is responding, to its higher order, which is thought. Even if you know where your keys are, and you know you are not currently, nor do you plan on being on fire in the near future, it may surprise you to learn that mindfulness has other applications. What it will do for us is give you control back in your life. I've spent a lot of time with people that have what they call test anxiety. They're so focused on the threat, which is the test, that they have lost the ability to think through situations and end up negatively impacting their own situation. So if you think about the consequences of doing things poorly, you tend to end up in a spiral that ends up with a poor result. It can also improve how we communicate. The Communication Age, the textbook from this class, touts the benefits of mindfulness in improving your listening ability. So if your mind wanders, if you enter into that mindlessness state, mindfulness reminds you to gently return your awareness to the message, much like you are all listening to me intently right now. In conclusion, we discussed what mindfulness is, how we use it, and what it does for us. The important part and the takeaway that I hope you all got is that learning to detach from that reflexive response, take control back, tells your mind, I'm safe, I have the time to think about this, and I need to do so. Mind successfully hacked. Thank you.